How's it going? Today's 19th January. This is Nick's Forecast, talking everything real estate on the planet and mortgages and how to do deals. No one's going to talk to you about and talk to you about stuff that no one will talk to you about anyway about real estate because they never do. Anyways, I just wanted to talk to the general audience as I always do and to talk about the rope, especially if you're for sale by owner, you're a expired listing. The rope and essentially with sellers. I was the other day I saw this article coming across a real estate network, and what happens is a lot of agents out there because stuff's pretty competitive, a lot of competitive market, especially for sale by owners expired. This is kind of an old school thing, and everyone still uses it all the time. They say they don't, but they do. The listing agent goes in there and you're the first owner or you're the expired listing and tell you, hey, I've got 2 buyers for this house. And yeah, I would like to come and buy to show it. But first I need to go ahead and list it first before I do that. And then they give you a bunch of lines and this and this and that. And they'll say, yeah, well, sure, we'll take it at your price, which is dumb. And then what happens is they'll beat you down every week, drop the price on it. And your situation is different. A lot of time for sale by owners sell it because they had a really bad experience agent. Expired listing, it's usually the price is too high. If sale by owner, generally the prices are always unless they got 4 or 5 CMAs on the house, competitive market. But a lot of times they don't have this to do it and they want to sell it themselves. A lot of time it has to do with they don't have the spread to pay the commission, or they have bad experience with a real estate agent for some reason, and that's a major key. Expires, it could be anything. Generally, just it's always overpriced. But the rope in is they want to bring in the fake buyer and go ahead and list it. I mean, I used to see agents do this stuff all the time. Actually, there's a couple lawsuits in California that have to contribute to the first sale by owner and expired listings for doing a rope in like that. I mean, it's old school stuff. They've been doing this forever and ever and ever since they've been selling real estate. But you've seen it more pragmatically in markets now. I just saw some story on it, some deal in the Southwest or something like that, and some agent got nailed for blah 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 blah. So as a for sale by owner, and if you're an expired, you're going to get hit. A lot of times you're going to get hit in the first time you come up. You're going to have some agents. I used to be pretty persistent going after for sale by owners and expires. And there was about a whole handful of other agents and we'd be pretty persistent. And kind of who was ever persistent got it. Sometimes whoever could speak best on any given day would get it. Hoss Pratt down in Texas. Hoss Pratt. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's in Plano or Dallas area. I think he's in Dallas area. Pretty good stuff. You go to hosspratt.com. He's got some pretty good stuff. I've stuff a long time back. And I've actually talked with the guy. Cool. But I have some stuff to check it out. And he has some live calls on there with some of the people talking to expires and for sale by owners. It's pretty funny because he takes them up and down and through. Grant Cardone's got some real stuff. Mike and stuff too. They got a whole script going through it. So if you're for sale by owner expired, a lot of times people script it out as a general guide, but I would go in and out at straight line method by the Street George, because I bought his system a long time ago, but it works and all the other systems work. Kinder Reese has got a pretty good one. They kind of copied some other people, but they threw their own thing on there. I don't know which one it was. Kinder Reese was number 4, 3 or 4 to call a banker because the amount of listings that they had. It was pretty squared away that they had, and so that was kind of the deal on that. And so it was a pretty cool thing as far as that goes. And sorry, I was just sitting there checking something. I had some real estate stuff coming in. Anyways, so it was a pretty cool thing just to see. on there, and you could check it out. But the Haas Pratt thing was still pretty cool. And Mike and Tom Ferry still got cool stuff as far as that goes, because the agents are going to call you and do it, and a lot of times it gets down to persistence. I'd call FSBOs, I'd keep calling back. Mike Ferry says call him for 14 days straight and then just get rid of them or whatever. But I would keep calling him. I'd call him for a week and a half, 2 weeks straight, every day. I'd call him, and I would keep nailing. Sometimes I'd call him. I'd skip a Saturday and then nail him on a Sunday, because Sundays nights were a good day to start back by owners, because they come out in the Sunday paper. So, there's a lot of games you can play, but the rope it essentially is they come in and say, hey, we got this. I got this many buyers. Sometimes they fake buy somebody from their office, or they'll bring in some other assistant and they'll give them some money to do it, and or a friend or whatever to come in and do it. I know I've done that before. And for buyers and and for sale by owners, I'm talking directly to you as a seller. So if you're a seller and your house expires, usually it was priced too high, or you didn't have enough spread in there for commission. In a hot market, a hot market doesn't mean you're hell. I mean, this is a big misnomer too. I want to put that out there. There's a lot of areas that their marketplace isn't hot. So, there are areas that always come up that aren't hot. I can start naming areas in the Puget Sound region where you have certain areas that are really, really hot, stuff's moving, but you go to certain areas and it's not right, because sellers always use, not sellers or buyers, but real estate agents always use a stupid thing about pricing the property right. They always use as an excuse or whatever. They use that as one of their stupid things that they always say. And the jobs and the rates and this and that. They make excuses for stuff for the market, and they're just talking out of their ears, and they're not really sure what they did, because they don't know how to answer they don't know how to answer anything. So, and I see a lot of managing brokers, or I should say designated brokers, owners of companies. They talk a lot of whatever's emotional reaction that they have to it. They really can't explain what's going on in the market, because some of the phenomena is because areas where, depending on where you're at in the U.S., things are really moving quick. But the funny part is that it's a street to street thing. You might have be in a town and you're in one part of the city, which is a fast moving part of the city, but for 3 or 4 blocks, everybody wants to live there. But then you go 3 or 4 blocks away, and the houses are just sitting like rocks, and they have to keep dropping the price to get it moved. So that's the funny part about real estate, and that's why it's so funny for expired for sale by owners is you getting roped in by it. I mean, it's just kind of what it is. Yeah, it's a numbers game, and so you may not like agents, and you had a bad experience. So, and a lot of times you're getting a lot of information right out the gate, because the agents come in are kind of half-assed, and they don't information, or they're not going to tell you a lot. And it's kind of like when you watch $1 Million Listing New York or $1 Million Listing LA, or some of these other real estate shows. They walk in there, and the producers already have it. It's already really done. It's so fake, but they walk in there and they never have a CMA to give or anything like that. They don't even have an iPad. They just like, oh, well, this listing sold, and here we go. They're doing their own roping. They're doing a roping because they already know they got the listing when they walk in. Except I have to give credit to the Josh and his brother, at least on the show, at least a couple times, where they walk listings when when they knew it was way overpriced, and they just knew it. They said, no, we're not going to take. I used to do that all the time, but I wasn't working in a high end supermarket like that. My prices kept rising, so I went into the 7 figures and stuff, but a lot wasn't there. My stuff was lower because I was doing so. A lot of mine were only 200 to 500 range, which is okay because I was totally working as a depth for it. It's almost like doing $1 million house a lot of times, or selling a $700 house. But when you're like in LA, it's a whole different deal. Or you're in certain parts of, like in Scottsdale or something like that, or Park City, Utah, where prices are really sky. or whatever. But even in those areas, because like so big, it's miles in each direction, or Orange County, or or San Diego County, Ventura, Riverside. But you get ways they're not in a real hot market. You know what I mean? So you've got deals. Same thing in Seattle area, Puget Sound. There's certain areas you're crossing over the Lake Washington into the east side, areas that are hot and moving really. But within that, certain areas that are just not moving as quick, and that's just the way it is. And that's the same thing in Snohomish County. Portland, same way in Multnomah County. Multnomah County is a big county too, where Portland's at. But you go further down I-5 going east, and some of these areas are not as moving as fast. So it's kind of funny, if you're for sale or expired, yet I got to factor that in if you do it. So because you down pretty hard. And the thing is, for FSBOs, for sale by owner, excuse me, I should be more clarified there, is that what'll happen is you get nailed for calls for the first week. You'll turn your phone off or whatever you do it. I'd say if you're for sale by owner, you always want to use another phone number instead of your regular phone. Go buy a phone, a track phone, and purchase minutes on there. But use that for calls when you're talking with a real estate agent. Don't use your regular phone number. Don't have them listed at all. I mean, if you're going to list a property, I'm telling you right now, do not use your regular phone number. Use your regular phone number, give it to your real estate agent for that, to talk to him, but use another phone number for showings and other stuff. This is, old school trick trade. I remember when cell phones got out, was they got cheaper and cheaper. I used to have when I did listings, I used to have them do that, is to get another track phone or whatever, and just use that and put that number out and keep the other number. We keep it between us. So what happens, you wouldn't get bumped or whatever, and they can keep the phone on or whatever. That's a good trick. A lot of agents do that now, but it hadn't become prevalent from probably the last 5 years, 6 years. These are little tricks for if you're for sale by owner or expired or just having a listing period. Because like I said, I always talk about more stuff than what's going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on in real estate right now. There's a lot of lawsuits going on out there. I just keep reading about them. They're all over the U.S. And so, there's still the big commission lawsuits out in Chicago and Illinois, and they had some. It started coming out in probably 30 states are going after the agent, but the agents' commissions, and 6% is reasonable because you're paying 10% anyways. Yeah, everyone's trying to save a buck, but the thing is getting access to the multiple listing service is a big. Mario Emans, a couple guys in his office at the EC in LA. I just got this thing, basically called the National Listing Service started, and I haven't seen it, so I checked their whole site out, and it's $99 a month, but it's not bad because it just gives more exposure. If you're an agent that's doing a lot of listings, or if you're cranking out 4, 5, 6 listings a month, it's actually a pretty good thing. If listing that's $250,000 plus or whatever, on there for $99 a month, it's probably a good deal to do it. I know I was doing it because I used to do that kind of stuff. Anything I saw where I could get more calls to try to get something sold, to sell it myself, did a lot of. That's a deal. Now, being a mortgage broker, a lot of times on a lot of deals I do, I wouldn't just get two sides a lot of times, because I would do the listing, and then a lot of times I would get a buyer, do their loan. But when I was doing with the listing, the seller, I would sell them another house and do a loan there. That's 5 sides. A lot of times I might get more than that. I might get 8. I could get anywhere the 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 sides sometimes on a deal. And so that wrap, and there you go, boom. That's that's over 100,000 plus in commissions right off the. That's just one deal. So I laugh when I hear about all this craziness going on, because I used to do a lot of stuff with Grant Cardone's talking about, which I love. He just bought himself a $40 million property in Malibu. I think it's rad. Plus he got that 650 jet. But see, he understands the juice, and that's refinancing. If you own a bunch of properties, especially apartment buildings, commercial buildings, or you own houses where you can juice that stuff out. I used to do it. I've housed, I would refinance 2, 3, 4 times, and I would juice it, and that's another way to cash, because I wouldn't get nailed for any taxes anyways. But values kept going up, so I knew how to play this game really, really well. because I've been doing it for so long. So these are things you need to look at if you're a buyer, seller, you're an investor, you want to be an investor. You want to go from just being a buyer, having a house, multiple houses, buying apartment buildings to be one of your main goals. Earn cash. Sometimes it's good if you might have picked up a few houses and you keep those. The rate's so artificially low. Yeah, the rate went up a little bit, a quarter point. I mean, that's not very much, but the rates are still low. You might be able to, some of your houses, you might be able to take some of that equity out and then turn around and pop it and buy yourself a 5, 6, 10 unit apartment building. They want to do and start doing it that way. So these are things to look at as far as, putting together deals for yourself. Being a investor buyer, these are things you need to look at. Look at a lot of stuff that your real estate agent with, or mortgage broker, not much a mortgage broker, but your real estate agent. You're going to start looking for your own stuff and looking for just the way it always works. And I had investors, I encourage them to go out and do it. But a lot of times they come to me if they wanted the deal written up because I know how to do all the complicated stuff and putting the deals together. And also, too, another thing I want to talk to investors is go to loopnet.com. I used that a lot in the past. I used to put listings there for commercial net.com, LOOP.net. Excuse me, I say .com, I meant to say .net. LoopNet, LOOP.net. Anyways, I started there. It's a good place to look, at least as a starting area. A lot of multiple services have an external site, like the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, state and Seattle area. They in the Portland MLS. I know the MLS. I think is pretty much statewide. I think they're pretty much, a lot of them are on the same system, as far as I know. But have external sites so you can check stuff out. There's a lot of times that commercial MLSs. This is something there's a lot of other commercial MLSs that aren't the regular listing service that they have in a lot of areas, a lot of counties, and they might be multiple counties, but they use those commercial sites that have external access, so you can put that in there, which is cool. And what will happen is a lot of realtors, they're going to be belong to they're going to be belong to their MLS for their residential listings and commercial, mostly residential. And there's going to be a commercial listing service of some type in another area in this that they're going to put their commercial listings on too. Remember, if you're an agent, you can't be so one-sided, or a mortgage broker. You have to be an investor. You're starting out doing homes, great, but also too, once you get some cash, you need to think about buying a 5-plex, 10-plex, 20-plex, 30-plex unit and buying it and running it out, refinance it down the road, and you're still making money on it, and then you get to keep the juice and do the money what you need to do, go buy more properties. And these are things you need to think about. You're moving from getting small to getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it takes time because really game now there are a lot of quick flips that you can get. But the thing is, right now, with the prices are high for lumber and other material like that, you can still get good deals. As I say, go to tax auctions. The regular real estate auctions aren't as good, out in the boonies more, but I would say go to tax auctions. You need to start hitting those. We're going to go to tax auctions, go to rural county areas and buy the stuff there. Do not buy raw land unless you're gonna for grazing rights. Don't buy it unless you're gonna buy it's farmland, flat, and doesn't have loads of trees on it, but you can see it has rolling hills or whatever. Great. That's the only time you're really gonna buy land, or you're gonna buy land because you're gonna build on it a spec, or you're gonna build on it quick. Other than that, you want to get land as long as it's got buildings on it, then you're okay. Some of the places you buy when you buy this tax auctions, some of the houses are going to be pretty screwed up, but you might find one that's pretty solid, which a lot of them are, and you might have to just rebuild it. Don't buy any of the wide on it. Don't buy it because it's going to be garbage. A double wide's fine if you know you can fix it, but there's a big difference in a double wide in a modular home. I would say I wouldn't touch with a single wide or double wide on it. That's just me. It has a modular home. Yeah, I can live with that. Unless you're gonna take unless the modular double wide is in really good shape, fine. You have to think about repairs. Also, too, another game in this thing is, and it's flat and pretty close to a major arterial or highway. You could also too look at building your own, especially in rural areas. They'll let you do this. This is real popular in the Midwest, in the Southeast, in the Southwest, and some of the Rocky states, where go ahead and buy it. The land is flat, and what you can do is you can go ahead and have a deal for RVs and fifth wheels, and put up your own parks, RV parks, and those are pretty popular. Yeah, like I said, Midwest, the Southeast, and the Southwest are really popular. I mean, they know they got them in Northern California, and every state's got them, but I'm talking real popularity because a lot of people have RVs and fifth wheels, and they like to go to a place and they can hook it in. But also, too, with saying that, you can also do another rental where you might be able to pick up some single wides. This is a good deal. You can pick up some single wides, and you might be able to pick them on the market up pretty cheap, some older single wides, and go ahead, and if you got the electrical set up and the water and some basic stuff, you might be able to put a bunch of single wides on a property because you paid them in cash. And then, I mean, hell, even where I live, basically in Lake of the Ozark area, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of boom areas. You can go way out. They're selling the single wides out for $750 a month, and some of those people have one. There's parts close to me where they'll have, they may have 15 or 20 of them, and there's one, and they're charging $750 to $950 a month per one, and they own it all outright. They're killing it. So I mean, they're totally making the passive income. There's I know somebody in the town that I'm in. They own 80 properties all over the place, and they're totally working. They sold a bunch of them off, but they own tons of apartment buildings, homes, fourplexes. I mean, they own all kinds of stuff, and they've been buying for a long time. And they've sold off like 40 properties recently, but they still have 40 properties left, and they're killing it. They're already multimillionaires anyways because they had business. But I won 200 properties, and there's a ton of people that around here. They've got a lot of cash to do it, and they're multimillionaires. They just hide their money and they keep it quiet. So, and this is everywhere, and so I'm not repeating the wheel, but I'm just saying to you, these are things for you to think about as far as that goes. Anyways, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, go to nickforecast.com, and you can ask me any questions, and you guys have a great week.